Hello and welcome back to the ATX Event Systems family. My name is Dave and I am ATX's Chief Creative Officer, and with me is Phil, our Director of Production. This is our weekly virtual meeting where we put our money where our mouths are and show you some of the technology involved in putting on a live event in the world of quarantine. Speaking of quarantine, let's talk safety protocols. As we start to get our soundstage ready for our clients to move in, we've been focusing our R&D on how we can safely operate with proper social distancing protocols, cleanliness, and consistency, and that's what really matters. It helps that the space is enormous, so we can easily space out as Phil has demonstrated here. Talk us through this, Phil.
It's important for us to ensure that the client feels safe, so we are going above and beyond the guidelines that have been set for us. As you can see, we have over 10,000 square feet to play with, so we are able to give everybody over 10 feet of space throughout the entire warehouse, even on huge scale sets. That means we are able to safely distance our show crews, clients, and talent with separate green rooms, rehearsal spaces, along with the main floor.
It's the benefits of space, huh? For those of you that don't know, I moved here from New York City about 8 weeks ago, so I am swimming in space right now and don't know what to do with it. So Marie Kondo, loved your show. Don't need you. I can fill up with plenty of stuff now. Alrighty, on to our guests for this week. We are so excited to welcome 4 incredible talents in the field of lighting design. They're award-winning and boy, I'll bet you they've seen some incredible gigs and have got some great stories for us.
As an LD myself, I can vouch for some of the things that they've seen. This incredible lineup of talent includes owners of production companies, TDs for Pink Floyd Laser Spectacular, the White House, and venue credits include ACL Live, Mohawk, and One World Theater, along with ambitions to break into the world of esports. Please welcome to the ATX family, Sierra Terry, Ruby Lee, Mick Gormley, and Kelsey Bowden.
Woo!
How are you guys?
Hi.
Hey!
Hey guys, how you feeling today? You excited?
Yeah.
Very excited.
That's great. Awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you. And our first question, as we have been doing with a lot of our guests on this show, is something that we do at the beginning of almost every one of our team meetings internally here at ATX. And it's called Best and Best. And we want to find out from you the best thing that's happened to you in the past week in a personal way and from a professional perspective as well. So let's start off with Sierra. What's your best and best?
The last week I actually got accepted at ACC, so I'm actually going to continue
Congratulations.
my education to get a certificate in visual communication.
Amazing. That's awesome. Congratulations. So is that personal or professional? That's professional, I'd say.
That's I think both, but it's definitely professional because it seems like the world is changing to more of a content management, content creation world. So I figured if I can go into visual communications, get a little bit of that, I can continue what I've been doing with live events, but do it more in a content based.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is our practice right here. This is what we're doing.
Yes.
What else
And
you
then-
got then?
Personally, I just actually got back from last week. We went to Big Bend National Park just to get away from Austin during the whole July 4th debacle. I just wanted to get away from the crowds and everything. So we drove all the way to the middle of nowhere, Texas, and got to see some beautiful stars, took my dog along with us. And it was a great experience and very rejuvenating.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Dog time is always best time, and we saw your dog going backwards and forwards before. We hope that we get a little cameo halfway
Hopefully.
through. All right, Ruby, what do you have? Best and best.
Well, last Wednesday was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Didn't really do much, but little crafts around my apartment. In terms of professionally, the company that I co-own, Illume Live Productions, is starting to break into. We usually operate mainly in the live event and venue arena in downtown Austin, but we've started to acquire private clients for installs in their homes and for their private event spaces. So acquiring a couple of new clients last week. Very, very excited to start exploring new avenues while we press pause on live events and live shows for the time being.
So you've done the classic pivot, that word
Yes.
that everyone is using right now.
Yes, well, we're doing our best to do so. So, of course, not everyone has the luxury of being able to, spruce up their home with new lighting and sound products. But, those that have, we are more than happy to work with them and, showcase that we're not just about putting on shows, but we also, can evolve and work in the install world and beyond.
And that's what's key. At this point, you've got to make it work for you. And that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mick, what you got? Best and best.
Professionally, I actually did a few random gigs last week. One was with Kelsey. Thank you for that. It was challenging, but it was good to get out and kind of do something. And then I also got to do a little install with John Britt. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's another audio IT kind of guy, and got to crawl through some attics with him. It was fun.
Nice. Well,
It was good to. I've never been so excited to run some cable. So it was
yeah,
good.
it's great to be
out
back
there.
and working as socially distanced as we are right now. It's good to be in a room together.
Yeah.
All right. Have you got a personal? Have you thought that through?
So personally, it's just trying to take, every day, each day at a time, and just to stay focused and, be there for my better half and try to make the best out of this whole situation. So, nothing really in particular, but just trying to have a better mindset about going forward and staying positive.
Yeah, it's a healthy attitude. It's a healthy attitude. And, we've all been there together. And like I said, pretty much anyone and everyone, if you need to chat. If you need to give me a call, because we need to be there for each other at this point. And it's difficult. So that's an awesome attitude. So well done on that.
And honestly, the fact that you're awake at the time of our live stream is a very good point. Some people are just sleeping all day, so that's pretty good.
There's that. And you're crawling through
Yep.
attics. So, hey, you've got it going on. You know what's going on. All right, Kelsey, last up, best and best.
As far as best personal, things are very minor, so little things mean a lot. My chickens all laid 2 eggs a day yesterday, so I got a half dozen. More than I've done before. And then in business, every property that I bid on, we quoted and they all accepted those bids. So that's pretty
Dang. So 100% sales conversion. That's incredible.
good. Yeah, we have not lost a bid yet.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That's incredible.
We'll definitely talk about your new business here a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so my next question is, what is your favorite lighting console?
So I would probably honestly go with a Hog, just because we also know that a lot of AV clients like to have a lot of last minute adjustments, and those adjustments can be made very simply and efficiently done via using a Hog. So that's what I would personally use in that situation.
You've had clients that have changed things on you last minute? Really?
Oh my God, I know, isn't it? Such
That's
a
crazy.
stress?
You're talking crazy
Never
now.
happened. Never.
Gosh,
No.
Dave, what type of client would change things on us last minute in Vegas?
Moving right
Anyway.
along.
All right, Mick, you're next.
I've made the switch to MA for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's just the most versatile console out there.
Yeah. All right, Kelsey.
I am a Hog user through and through. I do understand the versatility of MA, but when I started programming on Hog like years ago, I read the whole manual, so I at least know how to troubleshoot everything, like because I know where to find it in the directory. as far as if I'm having issues, and all of my software and everything that I use is compatible with Hog, so I'm easily able to hook up and figure things out. And as far as punting goes, I know my setup as quickly as possible as far as getting the day going and being done and ready before show is even programmed.
All right, Sierra, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to kind of piggyback on Ruby. I do agree that there is definitely a console for every situation. One console that we haven't really talked about is the Ion. When I used to work a lot in live production theater, I used Ion like constantly. I really do like Ion as far as if you're going to be doing a show where you just have somebody hitting a go button every night and it's the same show every night. Ion's actually a pretty solid board. But
Awesome.
when it comes to AV events, I am kind of a Hog person. I went and took classes, got certification, and that console just works for me in the way that my brain works. And MA works great, especially if you have, because if you want to really fine tune a show and you really want to get it nailed down specifically, especially if it's time coded and everything, and MA is a great choice. But if you're just going to be making it up as you go, that's why I really like Hog. It's simple and easy to make a really quick adjustment on the fly. And it's kind of like Mac versus Windows. You know, there are some people that Mac actually jives way better for the way that their brain thinks. I think that Hog works better for the way that my brain thinks.
This is fair. This is fair. And you know that we're tech people because I already know you're leaning with PC versus Mac. We've already had that conversation. So, I mean, straight in, right? All right, we are going to shift focus and talk about, I guess, heroes. And heroes is a word that's been thrown around quite a lot lately. A lot of people have spoken about it, obviously, from the perspective of COVID and people being selfless. But I think it's really important to look at who we find inspiration in. And I think, obviously, with this being a collection of incredible, talented lighting designers, let's talk about who your hero lighting designer is right now. And we're going to start with Sierra again. So we're coming straight back to you. But let's take a look at this clip first up. This is from a Deadmau5 concert. Take a look. Awesome. Break.
Yeah, that's the LD Colin stencil with Deadmau5. Sarah, what made you choose this video and what made you choose this lighting designer?
Well, actually, that video is a video I personally captured. That's actually here in Austin, Texas, at ACL Live. And I went to that show knowing what I was getting myself into, but what I love about Deadmau5 and what Joel puts a lot of work into in his shows is making sure that everything works together. And that's why I got into lighting design in the theater in the first place, is being able to see the visuals on the cube itself, watching the music and all the lighting, everything all just coming together and making sense together versus it like kind of fighting each other. That's always been my philosophy of lighting, is that I'm here to emphasize what's already existing and to complement it, not to fight it, not to be over. I don't want to be louder than the music. I don't want to be, distracting from the artist. I want to complement and be a part of the show. And I think that they achieved that 100% with the show.
Yeah, a cohesive design is always going to be a much better design than just one department standing on its own, for sure.
Well, that's where communication is key as well. Talking between elements, a lot of that was an insane clip first up, but I think you're completely right. All those departments talking together, you can just imagine in the concepting meetings at the very beginning saying, I want a gigantic rotating cube. Cool.
360 even.
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane. It's insane. And the possibilities are endless, but how do you then tell that story from end to end? And that's where all of that communication between all the departments is so key.
And we so do not emphasize enough pre-production. I mean, I know in a lot of AV situations we don't have a lot of time for that. A lot of the times people are flying in that morning, but pre-production, man, just makes the show go so much smoother and so much calmer, and takes away a lot of possibilities for problems.
Yes, for sure. Another reason to go with an all-in-one house solution is that we all know each other. We're all talking to each other, and we can all present one big cohesive design. Ruby, let's watch your video.
So that was a little different. In fact, not even a little different. That was a lot different. So Ruby, tell us why you chose this clip. Who is it?
So this is a gentleman named Eric Price. I have so much respect for him as a designer and an operator. That was from his Taking Back Sunday tour, North American tour that he did last year. He works for bands such as Taking Back Sunday, The Used, Motion City Soundtrack, and I'm obviously a little biased towards those kind of bands. I grew up with them. Mm-hmm. I'm a recovering Hot Topic goth, so you know those kind of fall into my high school angst days. But one thing I really enjoy about Eric is that he uses elements from different facets. Like he incorporates lasers into a show that he's doing for aging emo kids. And so, you know, that's not something that you would really think when you go into a Taking Back Sunday or a Used show. Like, it's just not something that you would really, you know, think that would add so much to it. He does use a Hog console. He's like one of my, like the holdout guys that I know who really uses Hog still while he tours. And, but I just have a deep amount of respect for him and his designs. And I actually got to stand next to him during the Austin show that he did, one of the Austin shows that he did for Taking Back Sunday last year. And aside from the music and, of course, it rocketing me back to, you know, my senior year of high school, the design in itself was just breathtaking. And, of course, I bawled my eyes out. So, yeah. But no, I highly, highly recommend checking out Eric's work. And he's also a birthday twin of mine. So, you know, we're like cosmically connected, man.
It's real. It's real and it's deep. That must have been amazing to just stand... not even side stage, not even just in the auditorium, but stand right next to somebody that you place on a pedestal and be able to watch them work. That must have been incredible.
Is there a better place during a concert to stand? Like, nope. No.
There you go. There you go. All right. Switching gears now, Mick, it's your turn. Let's take a look at your clip.
Leave photo, sold me out. 46 days and the call ran out. Please come round here another day. Sit yourself down when you're ready to stay. She dug down when they took the town. Looking for clues, but they couldn't be found. Lee found out she was ready to roll. 47 days and the call came home. Taste the fear for the devil's drawing in. Taste the fear for the devil's drawing near. In 46 days and the cold ran out. 46 days
All right, Mick. So I believe that was Chris Kuroda from doing the Fish tour. I mean, insane rig, but tell us why this was your favorite.
Well, I mean, Chris Kuroda, I mean, he's one of the GOATs. I mean, he's been with the band. He's been doing lights with the band since they started. And he's really paved the way for a lot of people how they approach punting shows, is he does nothing but punting. I mean, he has a few cute out songs, but he's just the way that he just knows the songs and the little intricacies he knows with the where the band might be going. With this there's a lot of improv, but it's also a classy design. I mean, that rig that you see in this video, I mean, this is their latest version of their touring package, and it's an automated system. That video is time lapse, so it really doesn't move that fast. But the fact that they have a rig that can really have infinite amount of looks and designs is a rig within a rig, a design within a design. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and we only really showed you a small clip of that concert, and it's just mind-blowing the possibilities. And that's the incredible thing, I guess, me coming at this not as a lighting designer, not coming from a lighting background. Lighting was one of the first things that, as a event producer, I went, this is everything. This is key. This is how you can immerse people in an environment and have them suspend, it's the suspension of disbelief. Is that right?
Yes.
Let's go with that.
Yes, that's it.
That's how you can bring them into your world effectively without them even really noticing. So to be able to do that at that kind of scale is just insane. Absolutely insane.
I mean, his nickname is CK5, which stands for Chris Kuroda 5, which meaning the fifth member of the band. I mean, he just like knowing that those type of things with that kind of approach with any kind of working with an artist, like just really knowing those little fine things within a song can really enhance, any kind of lighting you do. It doesn't matter the scale of it. I mean, you can use small effects or something very subtle, but it really will help blend the music and the visuals.
Absolutely.
All right, Kelsey, here's the video we've got for you. All right, who is that LD? What is he doing right now that you really sets him apart right now?
So I've probably learned a lot of things from each of you guys, and Phil's been my mentor for like a long time. I just wanted to highlight Justin Box because I've seen him from like the beginning, which is just building stages at their bare base, like risers, and that's pretty much it, to pretty much being a PM and running full shows. And he's probably like one of the only people that I've seen as far as LDs goes that's still designing shows, whether they're going to exist or whether they're actually happening. And every single day during quarantine, he's highlighted somebody that he's met along the way, whether it's touring, whether it's corporate, whether it's rock and roll, and just what they mean to him and what they've done and what they've taught him. And it's kind of hard to keep something alive right now that's not happening, but he's one of those people that's keeping it alive and making everybody feel like their purpose is still valued, whether we're actually exemplifying it or still holding a position doing it.
That's so cool.
Justin's social media page is like this ever spring of hope. He really wants to give back to the community. He really wants to highlight the other people around him. And in an industry like this, there's only so many spots, there's only so many consoles, there's only so many LDs, and for him to reach out and lift all the people up around him instead of competing with them, no one else is doing that.
Yeah.
He's incredible, and thanks for recognizing him, Kelsey.
As Bo, our owner and CEO, says all the time to me, a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's totally true. So that's incredible. Definitely check out Justin's page. All right, I'm going to flip this over to the LD that is in this room right now. Phil, who is your hero LD?
Well, we've talked a lot about music LDs right now, but we haven't talked about any theater lighting designers. One of the best theater lighting designers in Austin right now is Rachel Atkinson. Her design of Curious Dog in the Night won every single award there was to win that year for lighting for theater. And she's just really good at it. She's very positive whenever she comes into space, and she's just amazing.
Nice. That set design, let alone everything else like we were talking about before, all of the elements coming together, that was an incredible show, period. But, it's great that we're talking from all the different angles of what lighting design could possibly be. And speaking of all those angles, I have a super quick question for anyone who wants to jump in on it. As I mentioned, I ain't a lighting person. I kind of know what's going on, but I know that there are lights in this room and there's lights behind me, but yeah, I kind of know a little bit, but not much. How do I fix my lighting for video at home when I am trying to look as good as possible on my Zoom calls?
I can jump in just because I've been doing live stream for a very long time, and my solution would be more of a permanent solution. If you're willing to put in the money, especially knowing that this might be a longer situation, a lot of companies are actually decided that they would actually rather stay work from home and have canceled their rent in their office buildings. My neighbor, for one. I actually have a softbox light. I wouldn't recommend because it is huge, it's bulky, and it's super bright. And as you can see, I have the brightness and the gain way down on this poor camera. But there are a lot of LED panels that are available that you can get for pretty cheap. And now that people have stopped buying so many of them, they're starting to become more available. They will be a little pricey, but it is a good solution, especially for a long-term situation. If you're looking for a short-term situation, you can just as easily get like a table lamp with some kind of nice shade so that it softens the light, and just put it off to the side of you. I wouldn't put it right in front of you. A lot of people buy ring lights. I am not an advocate for ring lights. I just don't like ring lights. Do not get a ring light because they're made for photography, for not long use. And it right in your face, and it blows you out, especially if you've got glasses. That's all you see. Put a light off to the side, get a nice soft glow, and that's it. And then just remember, when you're buying your light bulbs, look at what color it is, because if you have very pale skin, and you get a very, very warm light, you're going to look very orange. If you have very dark skin, you get a very cold light, you're going to look kind of green. So you got to really think about what color you are and then the bulb is.
White balance yourself is what you're saying.
Yes. Do the work before you do it on the camera.
This is fair. This is fair. Think about everything beforehand. But I love that you gave us that range there. All right, Phil, let's jump over to your question.
Pre-visualization is a great software suite to see what your lighting is going to look like before you show up on site. So what do we think? Should you do previs, or should you just do it live on site?
I think it depends on the situation. If you're going on a tour, you should absolutely previs. But if you're walking into maybe some corporate situation where things are going to be changing quickly, or say it just doesn't really matter, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time making looks, and a previs situation where you're going to get in and they're going to be like, oh, no haze, or everything has changed. But if you have to really plan it out and it's the right situation, then absolutely. And you have the time to do it and the equipment to do it, why not? But sometimes also you could maybe shoot yourself in the foot. I've done that by where you think everything is going to be one way, and then you get on site and everything is completely different. So all the time you spent pre-vising is kind of lost time. So I don't know, it's just judging on the situation would be the best situation.
Kelsey, what do you think?
I mean, I think it depends on the situation. Like sometimes I've spent a ton of time pre-visiting and then all of a sudden I get there and it's just completely useless. But I think in corporate aspects, probably not, because you're going to be there with the client or whoever is running the show, like as the TD, and they're going to want just looks on site right then and there, even if they're prior discussed looks and like maybe the drape is a different color and you want to revisit all the colors that you had already created and mixed. I think that when it comes to corporate, I don't, as long as the trucks are ready and the gear's correct, and I mean, you can at least get a new truck out there if anything's broken. I don't think that it's worth spending the time doing unless it's just going over the whole show and run of show. But when it comes to like rock and roll, if you have the stage and you have the schematics, then it's easy to work it. You know, like stage generally doesn't change, but I've seen it change. So I think that it's worth it in rock and roll. In corporate, I think that things change so quickly and so much that you should have the meetings and you should have an idea, but doing all the work prior, it's probably going to change.
Yeah, and I guess it really depends, especially in corporate, with who your client is and what it is that they're expecting. You know, I feel like a sales convention is very different to a automotive launch. You know, obviously with an automotive launch or something like that, there's a vision there. There's many more marketing people involved, and they need to know how things are going to look, how things are going to be lit, because they need to know, for example, that the press can take great photos at this certain point. So, you know, you're absolutely right. I think just even within the gamut of what corporate events are, there's this huge variety, and it really depends on that situation as well.
I think an exhibit is a little different. Like exhibit halls, I think there should be a lot of pre-visiting because so many people are working on site at the same time. Like I'll have 112 fixtures at a tiny, tiny booth, but you're working around like 18 booms, and you have to really have your thing. Everything needs to be timed out properly to the point of when power is dropped, when you're tied in, and when you're done programming, or else, you know, next day you're not going to have a show, you know? So I think when it comes to exhibit halls, I mean, the realm of corporate is endless. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, shifting gears super quickly. For each of you, what's your favorite geeky piece of gear right now? Let's start with Kelsey.
I mean, I just like movers that have frames. Anything that I can get in the air and not need an L2 to like go back and fix and change out bulbs and do like the works. I just like, you know, movers that have frames, and obviously color mixing. You know, I don't want to flip through wheels and try to make adjustments of like, is this okay? Is this okay?
Yeah.
But I prefer everything framed off, especially when it comes to like exhibit halls and corporate. I like to be able to do everything sitting down, as opposed to always being in the air. So those are my, like, I don't have a specific like high end or like specific solo frame that I like or all these things, but I just like those certain aspects to be within the mover.
Nice.
All right, Ruby, what do you think?
I actually recently got to do a small demo with American DJ's new line of IP rated movers that they have. I was demoing them for a client. It's their Hydro series, and I was surprisingly very impressed with the movers that they've put out. Demoed the Hydro Wash 7X, and then also the Hydro Spot 1 and 2, and was very impressed. Their spots are still color wheel. It's not CMY, which, you know, from you know, an overall design aspect, I really love CMY. I think everybody does, especially if you're pairing them with like LED movers or LED washes, because you're able to do color mixing and whatnot without the jankiness of a color wheel. But I was still impressed overall. And one thing that I really liked is the fact that, you know, they are high. I'm pretty sure both models were IP65 or around there. They actually vacuum seal the heads themselves, which, double-edged sword, unfortunately, you cannot maintain that because of their vacuum seal technology. So if you need to be able to have maintenance done on it, you have to send it into a dealer that has the equipment in order to reseal your gear. But I mean, in terms of like long wear outside event space installs, primarily for churches that have pavilions, or just, like some of my clients are just looking to spruce up a gazebo that they have. You're not going to worry about bugs getting in there. You're not going to worry about dust getting in there, water, any outside elements. So I was very impressed by that because, because we're having to pivot more towards an install capacity, clients are looking to get gear that they're having to continuously service and maintain, because if you're going to have fixtures outside consistently, you're either going to have to pay somebody to put them up in the air and take them down, or you're going to have to pay someone to consistently come in and clean those fixtures out from dust, dirt, and everything that we know that can get into a fixture that sits outside all the time. So I was quite impressed. Like American DJ's new product line is pretty impressive. I have not always been thoroughly happy with a lot of their products, but I think that's, a lot of, that runs a gambit for almost every lighting company. No lighting company has a perfect, cachet of fixtures in their repertoire. But American DJ's new Hydro line, highly recommend.
Nice. That's awesome. IP60, for anyone playing at home who doesn't know what that is waterproof rating. All right, Sierra, what's your favorite piece of gear?
Right now, I actually not long before the end of the year, 2019, I got to see a little bit of a demo of this equipment, the RoboSpot by Roby. I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed talking to the guy about it. It's basically a little camera monitor that is connected to a camera and all like hooked up to one of the movers that you have in the air, and everything is set up wired or wirelessly, and you get to, so it's kind of like a little camera mount where somebody can look at this little monitor and follow a person as a follow spot, but it's a mover up in the air.
That's cool.
And I love this. It was really cool. But also, the lighting designer also has control of this follow spot. So I have control of the you can make presets on it, and you can make those, controllable from the lighting designer or from the follow spot operator, or like the lighting designer can turn off the follow spot. So that way all the follow spots can turn off all at the same time, in tangent with whatever is going on. So I was like, this is a really cool deal. Takes away a lot of the human error out, but also you still have the option of having that follow spot operator still having full control as well. So I thought that was a genius invention. I'll probably never use it. Let's be honest. Probably never get to see it because I don't do a lot of shows with follow spots anymore, but it's still really, really nerdy and geeky.
Awesome.
Love it.
Our next question is, what are you guys doing to keep sane? Mick, what are you doing to keep from losing your mind right now?
Just trying to stay outside, do things outdoors, disc golf, walking, just being outside.
Zoom
Cooking.
calls with production companies, yeah.
Yes, saying hi to friends, making
That's what we're
bread.
calling it now, saying hi to friends. I like it.
All right, Sierra.
I have been sewing like a madman. I have been making masks for people. I actually have a little sewing machine back here behind me.
Exhibit A.
I inherited from my great aunt, and I've known how to sew because I have a BFA in theater. So we had to take lab classes in the scene shop and the sewing shop. So I've been just pumping out a lot of masks, basically doing it almost like a 9-to-5 job. I've taken a week off, but I've been going back into it. And I mean, I've got tons of masks that I have made. And I can even show, like
Ooh.
this is a halfway done. So that way, whenever somebody orders one, I just add the elastic or the tie in here, sew it up, and it's done.
I'm
and
gonna blue screen's gonna hate me for this, but I mean, this is better than this old thing. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get
definitely
Dave one of
placing
your
an order.
masks.
Definitely placing an order.
Yeah.
We're gonna be the
I-
snazziest production company. It's gonna be great.
And I have like too many options of fabric. I have got so much fabric that I have Disney, I have sharks, I have polka dots that are rainbow colored. So go Pride, everything.
Oh,
so,
we're gonna have some fun with this.
Yeah.
We're gonna link in the description where you can find all of those masks and get your orders in. But that actually is a really good transition to our next question, and I'm going to pose this to both Kelsey and Ruby. How does COVID change the future of the lighting industry specifically? Let's start off with Ruby.
So during the initial onset of everything, with the tour cancellations and people being sent home from tours, venues shuttering for the moment, there wasn't a lot of hope, and it was very dark times, and you could sense it from your industry friends. You didn't hear a lot from musicians in terms of like, the rallying cries for their crew and their fans. But particularly, there were two articles that were written, one by Dave Grohl and then an interview done with the lead singer of Slipknot, Corey Taylor, that really did put a lot of hope and faith that I have into the future of this industry. I do think that there is going to be a renaissance. Will things have to change? Will we have to figure out how we are going to navigate through this in a safe capacity? Absolutely. But, I know that there are a lot of people that are very afraid that, that we're not going to be able to have live events and shows and things like that for a long period of time. And, from a cultural perspective, that's just not true. When you think about it, even before the invention of mainstream religion, and people gathered together and sang songs in tribal fashions, worshiping their old gods. So music and that kind of entertainment has run through our evolutionary DNA since the dawn of the ability to create music and have an understanding for it. So we will absolutely be able to congregate again as a whole, and we will still have those almost religious experiences that we get from live events, whether it be a corporate meeting with your friends and your company, or if it's a live concert setting. But I do have hope, and I have a lot of faith that, this industry will not go quietly into that dark night, and that we will be able to reunite with each other again, enjoy a song soon enough.
100%. And I think it's one of those things where I always have said to any teams that I've led across the world, we're not surgeons, we're not saving lives, but events, live, anything where people are gathering together has the ability to change lives. And whether that be through a social experience, whether it just be through the experience of being together, it is. I like what you said there. It is almost a religious experience, whether you are a religious person or not. So I love that sentiment. That's awesome. Kelsey, what do you think? How has COVID and how will it change the future of the lighting industry?
I mean, I think it's reinventing the wheel with what's already been invented. I do also come from like a film background. So we have the gear, we have the technology. It's about shifting the atmosphere. I don't know when live events will truly come back to a full-time job, but I do know that we will get there. So I think a lot of it is reimagining what gear we use, why we use it, and how we can get it all live and how we can associate that with video and production differently. I feel pretty comfortable just like with what ATX is doing. I've watched a lot of companies have to shut down because they don't have the background and mindset of the reinvention. So it just goes along with what are we doing and how are we going to do it differently and what do clients now need from us that isn't what we've done before. So I don't think that we're on a shutdown phase. I think like what you guys are doing, making the studio space, making it live, but without taking away from the aspect of being safe. And I think that going through the healthiest standpoints of things and getting tested and doing checkups and like making sure everybody is truly safe on site is how we're going to be able to get there with all clients and with all back-end, folks like post-production, pre-production.
Absolutely. And it's that reinvention that's key. I think like you mentioned, we are shifting as much as we can, but we are doing it in the safest way that we can figure out. This is a great example of that. We are together in a room, but we are 6 feet apart. The moment we stand up from here, our masks are on. So we're hyper vigilant around that. We obviously know that there's extended family to worry about. I may not be worried about myself, but we are concerned with everybody that we're going to come into contact with. So it's hugely important to have that mindset of reinvention, but also the smarts of safety and the importance of safety.
I think it's a little bit more too than the smarts and importance of safety. There's a lot of people who feel like they're not in the high risk category, but they're still taking the steps. They're still wearing their masks. They're still looking out for each other. And that's been really amazing to see from a large part of America that's been like, this might not directly kill me, for example, but it might harm someone else. I'll take a mask, I'll put it on, no big deal. And I think the event industry has been some of the best people about it that I've seen across the spectrum.
Absolutely. Phil, you're up next.
All right. Mick, quarantine has you into baking, cooking, cats, and coloring, but also has you concerned about industry's future and government support. Tell us your thoughts on that.
So I just think that a lot of people don't quite understand the ecosphere that is the music industry. It's a very fragile thing, and these venues can't just not make money and just be shut down and just hope that they'll open up again. That's not how it really works. And we're starting to see that, like Barracuda closed down a couple weeks ago. I know a lot of other venues are kind of on that cutting board. And, and it also comes down to production crews, like the local venue staff. Like for myself, yes, I work at venues, but I'm a contractor. So if they're not making money, I'm not making money. I don't have those opportunities to work there. And so that leaves me in a situation where I have to think about my future. And, do I stay in hopes that this opens up soon, or do you try to make that shift into a different maybe career path? So when things do open up, you're not going to have maybe the personnel there that made these certain venues work in a very, very operational way. Because that staff is gone, they've gone different ways, or, the venue shut down, or they completely changed their business model. And, people just, I think a lot of people think that, just think about the artists, like, oh, these artists aren't making money. Well, yeah, but also the crews and the if you look at the touring industry, it's not just the artists, it's the production crews, it's the tour bus drivers, it's the caterers at work with the venues. There's a lot of layers to this industry, and everyone's starting to feel the effects of it. And I feel like if you don't feel the effects of it now, that you will be. So I just think that there really hasn't been much help from, Austin claims to be the live capital, music capital of the world, but, there really hasn't been a whole lot in the sense of we need to make sure that these venues stay open as a priority, because this is our cultural identity as a city. And I think also with events like South by, like, that whole system is rattled, and it's going to take a long time for it to kind of get pieced back together.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading an article the other day where I think they had surveyed owners of establishments, and 80% of them, 80% of live music venues in Austin said that they're not going to last the year.
To Halloween.
Yeah.
To Halloween.
Halloween. They want to make it to
Wow.
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
90.
So yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We need to support our live music venues. We need to figure out ways that government can step in and help, but also figure out ways as we as a community can rally around those and bring light to an important cultural institutions that have always served us. And we're trying to do that as much as possible as well. So if anyone has any ideas out there about what you're doing to help move the needle on that issue, please share them with us, and we'd be more than happy to shine a light on your cause as well. Ruby, you mentioned already you are the co-owner of Illume Live Productions. You've already told us about how you're shifting. I guess, where do you see your company in the medium to long term then?
Well, the idea of 80% of Austin venues closing before Halloween is especially terrifying from my aspect, because that is primarily where my company has thrived over the years, is providing staffing and logistics for venues in town, Vulcan Gas Company, Summit Rooftop Lounge, to name a few. And so, Cedar Street Courtyard, Speakeasy, things like that. And so with those closures, those venues for the moment are still open, but, there's so much uncertainty in the air. So, we are pivoting towards that install capability. We did get a PPE, so we have been able to, give our employees, a little bit of money. But, we are having to pivot, and we are having to evolve. And every day, new challenges pop up that we have to find new solutions for. And so, one thing I have definitely told the contractors that work for Illume, and, some of the people that I've trained personally from the ground up. I also taught at ACC in the spring as part of their stage production and lighting class. So I did the lighting portion of that. And one thing that I told my students, and I ardently stand by this, is, the pandemic did not take our skills away from us. We are still lighting designers or sound engineers or riggers, even though all of this is happening. So yes, there is a chance we will have to pivot. Illume may have to get into something as, small scale as, hey, you got a new entertainment system for your house? Cool. Let us come and install it. But we as a company will continue to evolve through this. I started Illume Live Productions 5 years ago when I was still homeless and living out of my car and couch surfing. And if we can have those kinds of beginnings, we will never get to that point ever. And so it's only up from where we started. So it doesn't matter where we have to pivot to. It will always be, better than the backseat of a 1999 Nissan Sentra.
You did say one thing, Ruby, about being a lighting designer and stuff like that. I also want to let all the people know watching out there who are technicians, artists, everyone who's out of work, you're still a human. You still have value no matter what's going on in the world. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be respected. And I know that when you're in the entertainment industry, your career is super important to you, or else you go and do something easier. It just is what it is. So just during these times, I would encourage you to also keep the thoughts in your head of, I'm a human, I still am valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like that needs a COVID hug. COVID hug from over here.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like, it's really tough. There's depression and anxiety
100%.
rife in this industry right now. Like,
Yeah.
just, if you can take a minute to yourself, I'm still human. I am still valuable. It doesn't matter if I'm doing a show today.
100%. 100%. Think
One
about your mental
thing-
health.
One thing that I've definitely done to like help with my mental health personally is, like all of this lighting software that we use in our line of work is free. And so, download MA, download Camsys, download Hog, Camsys and MA especially, like you don't have to have an external software like Capture to be able to use them. They have their own previs software built in there. And so, if I'm having a really bad day and it's like, it's a Saturday, I'm used to, working a show, this is terrible. Before I start to get that low, it's like, all right, I'm going to bust out my computer. I have my little PC wing. I have my MA command wing. I'm going to turn my music up a little louder than I normally would. And I'm going to run a show. And yeah, I don't have the musicians in front of me. You cannot recreate the experience of having, hundreds, if not thousands of people around you cheering and have that show aspect. But like, I can still put on my favorite band and still have my lighting console, programs up and, go through those motions. And it helps to remind myself like, okay, like I'm still getting fresh. And, staying up on my programming skills, but also like, this is why I do this. Like, I do this because I love music. I do this because I enjoy my job, and it just helps get through those motions. So like, to help combat the depression, go do and program and do the things that you love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice.
All right, Sierra, you've gone back to school to help you adapt and pivot. Tell us about what you've been doing.
I've decided that I wanted to emphasize my love of working on content. I was a content creator for a very long time. I live streamed on Twitch just for fun, just for a fun hobby. And now that that's kind of the environment that we're living in, I wanted to really take that and then go with it. For years, for free, I've just been, people have been calling me and asking me, how do you make your setup look so good? How do you get everything worked? And I just for free, I'd be like, yeah, let me get in a call and we'll just talk about it. And I can help you out the best I can. And I thought if I can add a visual communications certificate to my already BFA in theater design and production degree, I can continue with that and maybe adapt more into this live streaming world. So I've been teaching myself how to code as much as I can on my free time. So I've got HTML, CSS kind of on there. I already know how to use pretty much all of the Adobe Suite programming. So like, I've kind of mostly been immersed in the situation. I just wanted to get more of a structured education in it so that I can say, hey, look, I got a certificate. I'm not just a theater kid. Mm-hmm. And been taken more seriously in that industry.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like our industry has always been an interesting one when it comes to certifications, on-the-job experience versus just raw talent. But absolutely, I feel like in this time, adapt, play around, try something different. And it's okay if you try something and you hate it. That's fine as well. Just get out there and do something different, have some fun, and enjoy. Speaking of which,
it's not too expensive either.
Exactly, and there's so many things out there that now they've reduced their prices to make it more accessible. So have a look through. If anyone needs resources, please get in contact with us. We can help you out there as well.
For sure.
But Kelsey, on to you. Speaking of doing everything, I've heard gardening, adopting chickens, cooking, writing, working in your house. But what I really want to focus on is you've started and building your own business. And it sounds like it's relatively unique in the marketplace right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I basically had to jump on the ball quickly. I don't know when my prior job is going to come back. So I started a company called KB Contractors TX. Basically, I hired about 25 AV guys and taught them like landscaping, and then I hired specific contractors for specific tasks. So we pretty much cover everything external in the house. We have everything from like an HVAC guy to shingles. We build decks, we do priming, we stain your fence, we build your fence. We landscape your yard, we'll zero-scape your yard. So we have all the equipment and the capabilities to do it. Everything's
Wow.
pretty much run a 6x12 trailer, my garage, and a dump trailer. So we haven't really lost a bid yet. It seems to be a very high market right now as far as getting things done on the outside of your house. So we're able to assess properties pretty virtually. Other than that, I have N95 masks, and we'll go to the property and just kind of talk over which type of rock they want, pavers, kind of mulch they want, what kind of plants and what kind of sun they receive, if they want irrigation put in, all the works. So mostly I've just been trying to help with AV guys. Specifically, I have like 15 lead AV guys that are now lead landscapers, or my leads as far as building fences and that kind of thing goes. And I think it's kind of like changed the turnaround. So a lot of landscaping companies, I got quotes on how much they pay their employees. So I just doubled it for them and tried to pay them their AV rates.
Nice.
And so we kind of have a compromise as far as what we make on supplies versus what we make on labor. So we don't make a huge overhead on labor, but it's worth paying the guys what they're used to making to kind of end the sting of COVID.
And two benefits there of working with Kelsey is, one, you're getting a very visual, creative person. So obviously that's going to be helpful when we're talking about design. But two, you get the sense of urgency of somebody in the audiovisual industry, not a general contractor. So there's that. Big positives there.
Yes, I can personally vouch for everyone on the screen meeting actual deadlines. It's a skill that people don't understand in the real world. Like, showtime is showtime.
Make
I think
it
that
happen.
I have a production mindset, so I pay based on a production day. So it's either an 8-hour day or it's a 4-hour mini. You get paid at the end of the gig. That's how the clients pay. So I'm running based on that production mindset. But I get a lot of clients that give me a call. This one guy called me on July 3rd, and he was like, I want my garage epoxied by when my family gets here on the 5th. So a lot of the times we have people that want their thing done very quickly based on some specific reason. So we just try to reach that deadline, and with one single day of etching out the concrete to laying down the actual epoxy and then putting clear coat on it, we were able to get the turnaround time for most people's properties based on what they want, whether it's next day delivery as far as supplies goes, and then next day of labor. So I think that having that like production mindset of timeline of events is what's changed like the market in my brain as far as getting the assessment done within 24 hours with a quote and estimate to getting it started and ended by a proper deadline.
That's incredible. We're going to have the link for that business down in our description as well. All right. Thank you, Sierra, Ruby, Mick, and Kelsey. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we're excited to see what y'all will contribute to the future of the lighting industry in this city and this country. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
For sure. We're all going to be able to get together soon. And speaking of which, to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that we've given you some inspiration, not just for your events and how to bring them into the virtual world, but maybe some inspiration for a new career path or a way that you can pivot in your life. Again, if there's any advice that you guys need or you just want to chat to somebody, please get into contact with us. Our website is down below. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.